Let's get more on our main news tonight. Prince William's arrival in the Falkland Islands for RAF search and rescue duty. To discuss all of this and our Anglo-Argentine relations, I'm joined by Professor Klaus Dodds. He's a Falklands expert from Royal Holloway, University of London. Thank you very much for joining us. How do you think this is going to be seen?
Well, I think from Argentina's point of view, it will be seen as deeply provocative. And from the Falkland Islands community point of view, it will be seen as deeply welcome. I mean, there's a very strong association involving royalty and loyalty in the Falklands.
But actually, a reach of them potentially reading too much into it. We're told it's just a routine deployment for a Sea King pilot, which of course he is,
yes.
As part of normal squadron rotation.
I'm sure it is part of normal squadron rotation. The problem is that really from the 1950s onwards, whenever there's been the hint of a royal visit involving the Falklands, it's proven controversial. From Argentina's point of view, you have a member of the royal family visit the Falklands, and many of them have done so. It's a way of reminding, particularly Argentines, but also others, that the Falklands is a British overseas territory. So it's very difficult to disassociate the two.
Which it is, obviously. I mean, you know, he's doing his job, and the fact that he is a member of the royal family there doing the job, it is a British territory. It
is a British territory, and of course, you know, if there's two things that the Falkland Islands community have a great deal of admiration for with regards to the British, it is the armed forces and it is the royalty. So Prince William, in a sense, is the perfect embodiment of those two things. But again, if you're Argentina and you continue to press a claim to the Falklands, this will undoubtedly be seen as provocative.
We are hearing a lot of rhetoric, aren't we, from Argentina? Do you think there is anything to be worried about here?
Well, I think what happens is, particularly when anniversaries come up, this happened in 1992, for example, and 2002, there is a tendency in Argentina to ratchet up the rhetoric, because in a sense Argentina is in a bind. It wants to remind the world that it takes its claim to the Falklands, Malvinas very seriously, but on the other hand, if it is reasonable and doesn't kick up a fuss, then the Falkland Islands community and the British government have no incentive to even think about negotiating in the future.
Do you think that there is going to ever be the prospect of negotiations? I mean, at the moment, obviously, the British government position is clear. The Falklands have a right to self-determination. Yeah,
and it drives successive Argentine governments mad. That actually, since 1982, regardless whether it's a Conservative, Labour or coalition government, British governments have said they respect the right of the Falkland Islands community to self-determine their future. For President Kirchner, this is really a very irritating fact. And what they've done, for example, by raising the spectre of banning Falkland Island flag ships entering South American ports, is to try and remind the British and the Falkland Islands community that Prince William's deployment is not only considered, if you like, provocative, but they also might try and get South American partners to make our position in the Falklands, should we say, less tenable.
It's a very different situation, though, to 30 years ago, isn't it, when Argentina was ruled by a military dictatorship. It's now a democracy.
It is now a democracy, and of course Argentina has ruled out the possibility of another armed invasion. The other thing that's changed markedly, of course, is the Falklands itself. It's no longer a sort of colony based on wool exports. It's a thriving modern society, and of course this is another part of Argentina's frustration. It also enjoys a very commercially valuable air link with Chile, something that didn't exist 30 years ago.
And also, another thing that's heading for the Falklands right now is the warship HMS Dauntless, which again we're told is all part of a routine deployment. What do you make of that?
It is a routine deployment, and of course warships have been visiting the Falklands for decades. But again, if you're an Argentine observer and you're keenly motivated with regards to the Falklands question, you see all these things as provocative. And of course, for the British, we just see this as a routine deployment, which, after all, just further emphasises that we enjoy de facto sovereignty over the Falklands and Argentina does not.
Good to talk to you, Professor Klaus Dodds. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Now, Pakistan's Supreme Court has told Prime Minister